Tim, guess what? We're back. It's a new year, it's a new look, and it's a new day. Instead of doing this on a Friday, we now do this on a Saturday. It's the 7th of January, it's 2023, and it's time for What a Week That Was. Woo! It's dead exciting, isn't it? I'm excited. I'm easily excited though, to be fair, but I'm more excited than what I normally am when I get excited. So yeah, I'll shut up now, shall I? I'll get my coat. So yeah, hopefully you're all good, hopefully you've had a good new year and everything else. And I've even got a diary now that I write stuff in, rather than the book I had previously. Little notebook thing, and I thought I've got plenty of room in here. I near enough filled it up. What a week it's been. What a week it has been. Started off with some sad news, which was the whoa, okay then, it's a bit bigger than I thought it was going to be, I'll be honest with you. Sad news of the forehead of the former Pope. Right, I've got that side in now so I can shrink it down. Right then. So yeah, some sad news that the former Pope, Pope Benedict, has passed away. He actually passed away on the Sunday, which was the last day of last year, but that was about the only news item from that day, from last year. Pope Francis, though, the current Pope, paid tribute to the old Pope who'd passed away, and he was the first Pope to resign from the position since, well, forever, 600 years. The current Pope, who is now the only Pope, there were two Popes, he's also got ill health, but people were worried that he might want to resign himself because of his ill health, but that would mean there were two ex-popes and a Pope. But now the ex-popes died, there's only one Pope left, so if he does decide to retire, then there would be an ex-pope and a new pope, so we're back to where we were before. So it all makes perfect sense if you think about it, but don't think about it for too long, because otherwise you'll get a headache. I've already got a headache thinking about it. There's too many popes. Anyway, Pope Francis did pay tribute to Pope Benedict. He wasn't the best pope ever, and people were screaming and shouting that he should be turned into a saint instantly and all that. I'm like, well, he wasn't very saintly, was he really? But it's always said when someone dies, I'm as religious as a leaf on the ground, but it's still, yeah, it's still news and very important to a lot of people. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, 32 attack drones were shot down by the Ukrainians straight into the new year. This was Sunday morning. Really, Putin just does not know when to stop, does he? 32 attack drones were shot down. A few did actually get through, but thankfully not as many people were hurt as normal. Figures were released that 45,756 migrants crossed the English Channel in 2022, which is a record, and as I've said many times, we need to stop this happening, because why should these people risk losing their lives crossing the Channel when the majority of them are not even meant to be here anyway, so they're doing it for a wasted mission. And the other one is, even if they are meant to be here, well, surely we should get them here safely rather than letting them risk their lives coming over the Channel. So this thing has got to stop sooner rather than later. Meanwhile, in Brazil, Lula is the new president, but he's the old president. He's been the president before, but now he's took over again, and he's really happy because he is the new president of Brazil, and is hopefully going to stop people chopping down the Brazilian rainforests. Another loss, the first loss of a celebrity of 2023, was Anita Pointer from the Pointer Sisters. Jump, 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 that one. For my love, and Frankie, do you remember me? And all that kind of thing. So yeah, I think she was the last surviving Pointer sister as well. I'll be honest. So yeah, I've also written Droves in London 2023, but I don't know what that's about, so we'll ignore that, shall we? And that was Sunday. So next up, obviously, is Monday. I'll tell you what, this is getting too technical now for me. So what happened on Monday? Well, Monday this week, we had some news again from Ukraine. And the news was that there'd been a strike by Ukraine on a school in former well, no, it is Ukraine still, but it's currently being run or owned by the Russians, and it had been turned into, instead of a school, it was a military office block or a military camp or whatever. Anyway, there was lots of people there, and the Kremlin admitted that there were at least 83 soldiers killed in the blast, but Ukraine say the figure is more like 400. But it's very unusual for the Russians to actually say anything. Why is the chat not there? Oh, it is there. There we go. Yeah, like the new look, thank you. Hello, Reese. Happy New Year. The Pilco podcast. Hi T. Hi you. Smiley. Oh, this is very different. How's it going? It's going alright. I was in a Valmild, as I hate New Year. Yeah, but I was Happy New Year's Day. That's good. They're up to the bells, hate it. Hope everyone had a good New Year. Hi Angela. I was getting drunk playing on my Xbox here. Anyway, so yeah, brand new look to the show, and there's some extra bits as well coming up later. Oh, it's so exciting. Meanwhile, in the UK, the NHS and the RCN said emergency units are at critical situation due to COVID and flu cases, as well as hospitals having people that they can't discharge. 13% of the beds in the whole of the NHS are taken with people with either flu or COVID, which is not good. Happy New Year to the beautiful silence. She says Happy New Year as well. I almost missed it. I forgot it was on a Saturday. Yeah, it's 7 days in, so it's a week. So it's what a week that was. Doesn't work if it's only 6 days. I've still got to figure out when I'm still doing this when it's on a Wednesday. That's going to be a bit weird. But anyway, we'll go with it. So yeah, the RCN are saying that we need to watch out. Why is that so small? What is going on in the old hospitals, whilst we figure out how to sort out the NHS and everything else as well. Where are we? Prince Harry, he's here, says that the royal family have shown no intent for reconciliation. And you're like, have you not been watching the news, Prince Harry? Do you not realise how many people don't really like you anymore? You want to be reconciled with the family, but you just keep going on and on about how bad the family are, and I don't think it's gonna matter. Size doesn't matter. Yeah, thank you. There's a lot going on here. There's a hell of a lot going on here. Then we get to Tuesday. This is and surprisingly, the government agree that the NHS is broke and is needing some major help, but it does insist that they put in more cash and more nurses, and I dare say they have, but the population's got bigger as well. Sadly in Brazil the population went down by 1. Pelé, who passed away last week, he was buried, and they actually took his body and coffin on the back of a fire engine, which I thought was a bit weird. For a start, no one can see it on the ground. All you see is a fire engine going past. And secondly, it's a fire engine. I don't remember Pele being in the fire brigade or anything like that, but anyway, apparently he was. So he was then put into a mausoleum because they don't bury people in South America, they put them in crypts and things like that. But it's a multi-story mausoleum. That's a bit weird, isn't it? Anyway, we lost Ken Block this week. Now, a lot of people won't know who Ken Block is, but he's a guy who could control cars like no one on the planet. I mean, his car control skills and the things he could do with cars was amazing. I think the majority of people in Britain would remember him for when he was on Top Gear a few years ago and he was driving his car around London, basically sideways. Nearest I ever got to being Ken Block is in Grand Theft Auto when I take my Duco Death out, which looks very similar to that car, probably deliberately. And I think it might even have the number 43 on it, although I can't remember, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, sadly he passed away in a snowmobile accident whilst on holiday at the age of only 55, which is no age at all. A tragic accident and a big loss to the motorsport world and the YouTube world as well. The irony is, though, he lost his life in a snowmobile accident whilst in Switzerland. It's that warm, they're having to use fake snow on the slopes for people to actually go skiing because they are basically having a mini heat wave, and some of the what they called places where people go to, they've opened up their summer attractions, i.e. Walks through the woods and things like that, so people have got something to do. But unfortunately, yeah, it's too warm for the snow in Switzerland of all places. Now imagine if you're in Scotland, then that's not a good thing at all. But in Switzerland, no, really bad. Meanwhile, in Australia, you'll hear that again at some point in the near future, there was a tragic helicopter crash where a helicopter landing and a helicopter taking off hit each other. Tragically, the people in the helicopter landing, the helicopter taking off, were more seriously injured, and 4 people died, and 2 of those were from England. They were on holiday, and they were Diane and Ron Hughes, who'd only been married for less than a year. Awful accident, and I've seen the footage of when the actual accident happened, and it looks like one of the passengers who's filming is actually trying to warn the pilot that's going to go, something's going to go horribly wrong, and sadly it does. Anyway, let's move on to Wednesday. See what I'm doing here? I tell you what, I'm multitasking here. No wonder my brain's frying. First time I've done all this. So what happened on Wednesday? Well, Rishi Sunak, everyone's favourite Prime Minister of the last 3, which isn't difficult, let's be honest. He came up with a big speech, keynote speech, and he says he's going to work night and day to sort out the British economy and everything to do with Britain, and it's going to be woo 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 kind of thing. He promises to halve inflation, grow the economy, reduce the debt, cut waiting lists in the NHS, and stop the bolts. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see how well he does. He's only got just over 18 months before the next election, which isn't long at all. Mind you, if you look at it the other way, not Theresa May, I assume we forget Liz Truss. She destroyed the economy in 10 days. So there's a possibility that he could fix it. Maybe not in 10 days, but he's got 18 months, so there is a chance. Stop the bolts. Again, this is what I've been saying for ages. We need to give whoever's coming over a chance to legally register and put their Liz Truss who exactly put their thank you, put their point across and their reasons as to why they can actually come to the UK. And again, don't think it's necessarily a bad idea, but we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. It's got to be done abroad and not done when they get here. We're currently being charged as taxpayers for, is it 7 million a day or a week for putting people in hostels, most of whom don't deserve to be here, so we need to start acting really, really quick. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But he's optimistic, and he's a grown-up. I mean, he's only tiny, but he's a grown-up, and you know, that's the most important thing. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, the battle has gone to a place called Bakhmut, and that's the centre of the action in Ukraine. But the Ukrainians are doing remarkably well of keeping away the nasty Russians. So fingers crossed that will keep going their way. We lost another person as well. This is Faye Weldon. She was a famous author. She died at the age of 91. Famous for what he likes in IT makes or people health. Yes, Smiley Mac. She wrote many famous TV shows and TV programs and things like that. And something, this is bizarre. I don't know whether you watch these things, but for as long as I've been doing vlogs, which is how this What a Week That Was basically started during COVID and all that kind of thing. If you go all the way back, go through the playlist, you'll see all my vlogs and everything, and you'll see that I was saying back then that COVID has changed the way we work. We can work from home, so why do people have to go to offices? Well, this week it was announced that in the UK in particular, cities are dying because people are only going 2 or 3 times a week, and most of them are going between Tuesday and Thursday to the offices rather than Monday to Friday. Now that's bad news for businesses who are in the cities who rely on commuters, because basically their trade has dropped off a cliff and not recovered. But it's good news for small towns like, you know, Wigan, which is now a small town because half the shopping centre's been demolished, and even smaller towns and cities, because smaller towns and villages, because people are staying at home. So when they have their break, they're going into their local town centre to get whatever they want, or they're going to the local shop to get a sandwich, or they're just staying at home and cooking it, and then after they pick the kids up from school, they're then going into the towns. But the towns apparently are getting busier and footfall is going up, whilst in London it's gone down around about 50%. And at the week and on Mondays, and this is 50% from pre-pandemic, but it's also gone down. It's much more on Mondays and Fridays. Oh, breaking my teeth in for the cat. So yeah, things are changing and the world is changing, and it's always going to change, and that's what we need to what people need to realise, isn't it? Anyway, what happened on Thursday? Wow, I'm going to forget to do this, I know I am, but we're doing well so far, so let's keep up with it, shall we? So on Thursday, Sir Keir Starmer, everyone's favourite Labour leader since the last one, just come up with a speech. I mean, this guy is, I know the Tories are clueless, but this guy is completely clueless. He's on about handing back more of the, what's he called, take back control deal. He wants to give more control to local authorities and things like that, and I'm like, well, you could say that it's easier to judge a government than it is to judge smaller governments with more people involved, which means there's more wages, which means there's a net less money for the people, plus these people who get into councils and the like are not as vetted as people who go in as MPs. Therefore, are they even trustworthy with extra money? But again, you can promise what you want when you're in opposition, because you can't do anything. You're in opposition. So all the stuff he was coming out with last year about getting rid of the House of Lords and all that kind of stuff, and I've said a lot about that. I agree and disagree with what he said, because you all have to look at America, which I did mention as to one reason why we shouldn't have elected houses, because if one house, i.e. the House of Commons, is Conservative and the House of Lords is Labour, then nothing will ever get done, and vice versa, nothing will ever get done. The guy, Keir Starmer, can say what he wants because he doesn't have to do anything. Anyone in opposition can say anything. I remember the last one, whose name, oh, what was he called? Oh, it's so annoying, beard. Yeah, anyway, he said that he was going to scrap all student loans, and then when he lost the election, someone interviewed him and said, so how are you going to pay for this, the scrapping of all student loans? He said, all student loans. No, I didn't mean all student loans. When I said all student loans, I meant, and basically he backtracked on what he said, because that's what you can do. You can say what you want when you're in opposition, but then when you get in power, you then realise that maybe you can't do that because you haven't got enough money for it. I mean, Keir Starmer keeps going on about bloody GB Energy. Well, you can't set up an energy company without any money, and you can't set up an energy company without billions, if not trillions, of pounds to do it. And where's that money coming from? So yeah, he's coming up with stuff, but I'm not necessarily sure that what he's coming up with is the right thing. Anyway, something more serious, and that is Prince Harry, and well, it's what's it called? The book is called Spare, innit? And it's by Harry. And there was a big controversy this week, and a leaked part of it, due to a necklace getting broke. So Harry's necklace got, well, sorry, wrong Harry, I do apologise. Oh, crikey. Oh, no. Where's the right Harry gone? Oh, there he is. Yeah. Harry's necklace got broke in a scuffle he had with Prince William in 2019. And I'm like, Harry, your brothers fight. You keep saying that you want privacy. You keep saying that you don't want people meddling in your lives. You keep saying that the royal family do all that, so you've walked away from the royal family. You know, I almost came round to their way of thinking after having watched the Netflix things. But then he carries on. He doesn't stop. He's like an annoying little puppy that just wants attention all the time, but when you go and stroke it, it tries to bite you. It's bizarre what he's coming out with. He even said as well in this interview, please boys, don't make my final years a misery. And then he bragged, well, I don't say he bragged, but he mentioned that whilst he was serving in Afghanistan, he killed 25 of the Taliban. Now, I've never heard of anyone saying how many people they've killed when they've come out of the army. I don't think it's anything necessarily, it's a necessity, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's anything to be proud of. And then he admits when he was 17, I don't know when this picture was taken, Team GB, whatever, but when he was 17, he was taking drugs. He was doing cannabis, magic mushrooms, and a bit of cocaine as well, which, let's be honest, I think we all thought anyway, especially when he was dressing as a Nazi in New York. But, you know, he was a wild boy prince, and people liked him for that in a way, but not anymore. She's the puppet master and she's pulling his strings. He's definitely, he just keeps digging, and he doesn't stop digging. You're like, Harry, if you hadn't done the Oprah interview, if you hadn't done the Netflix thing, if you hadn't written this book, you might have had a chance of making up with your brother and your father. But you don't. You just keep coming at it. And it's like, even the Americans, as we'll find out later, are getting a little bit naffed off with him now. Because he just, like I say, he just doesn't shut up. He's just after attention all the time. Anyway, meanwhile, the weather. Last year was the warmest year on record since 1884. This chart is from 1884, and the top 10 warmest years on record have occurred from 2003. So basically, in the last 19 years, the top 10, 10 of them have been the warmest on record ever. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying it, but I can see how it's affecting other countries much more than us. But I do enjoy, I like being warm. I don't like it wet though, and that's the other thing. And I remember someone saying a long while ago, when global warming was a thing, oh, controversial, Angela. Everyone knows he, as in Harry, is not Charles's son. I think he's party to it. I hate the heat, it's too hot. No, I love the heat. Get my top off and then just scare everyone on the canal while I'm having a walk. But yeah, it's I prefer being warm. I must admit, there were some days last year where I didn't go out because it was too warm, and even in the house it was too warm. You know, I was down to my boxers walking around the house with the windows open, everything open. It was horrible. I'm glad I didn't have to go to work because that would have been even worse. But yeah, it is what it is. We need to do something about it, and they keep saying, look at our CO2 emissions have gone right down. Yeah, but as I've always said, the UK is too small a country to affect the global. Even if we went net zero, if we went to zero overnight, it still wouldn't affect global warming worldwide. It's the big countries who need to do it, not just us. Blackpool in winter, yeah, that'd be nice. Microsoft antivirus did not find any threats since your last summer, thank you. Where's the snow? It's not even in Scotland at the moment, it's nowhere, although there could be some hail over the next few days, so that could be interesting. Use the term loosely, obviously. But yeah, warm weather, I enjoy it, and I do like the milder winters as well, but I don't like the wet ones. I went for a walk along the canal to continue my Leeds-Liverpool canal walk thing yesterday, and it was cold, it was a bit wet, but it was enjoyable. It was quite windy as well, but overall I had a nice little walk along the canal. I say little walk, it was about 4 hours, and I couldn't stand up when I sat down when I got home. Anyway, Putin, yay, he says, well, he ordered a ceasefire for the Orthodox Christmas, which is 2 days, in order to let people peacefully do the Orthodox Christmas. And you're like, what? How will that turn out? Well, we'll find out in a bit. Meanwhile, the Pope, the former Pope, the old Pope, the ex-Pope, was buried, and it was done by, the whole service was done by the new Pope, or the current Pope. Too many Popes. And there may be a new Pope if the current Pope becomes the ex-Pope, because the current ex-Pope has died and been buried. So the current Pope could be an ex-Pope, and then we could have a new Pope. So yeah, I hope we're following all this. But my thing was, how big is the coffin? I mean, we're saying before, Rishi Sunak is not a big man. He could live in there, but like a bungalow for him. But yeah. Meanwhile, in Hale, a bus caught fire. Now, Hale is a small posh village in Cheshire, yeah, this bus burst into flames. The driver was hailed a hero for getting all the passengers off. It's Hale. I can't imagine there were many passengers on there because they all have Range Rovers. But anyway, it wasn't a full-size bus. It was a small bus because, again, many people don't use it. And that was what it looked like after it had been the fire had been put out. So yeah, lovely. Right, I have to remember to do this. I nearly forgot then, but I've remembered. Don't worry. Friday. I hope it wasn't too buzzy. Oh, very good, Smiley Mac. You can be my script writer. Not that I use a script, not that anyone would notice. Prince Harry. Oh, this book hasn't even come out yet. Although weirdly, it was released early by mistake in Spain. And it's set on fire, probably an electrical fault, because that's what most vehicle fires are. Meanwhile, Prince Harry has been well, derided by a lot of military top brass. I paid for a charge seat for admitting he'd killed. Tell me about it. He's like the new Trump, isn't he? Only English. He's been derided for stating by military bigwigs and veterans as well, by stating how many people he reckons he killed whilst he was serving in Afghanistan. And the royal family, and you've got to admire them for this, have made no comment whatsoever. Well, that's it. No comment whatsoever. But Prince Harry, yeah, just shut up. Meanwhile, COVID cases are on the rise worldwide, possibly due to the fact that China have released all their restrictions whilst going into meltdown, basically. But hopefully it will sort itself out. 1 in 22, they reckon, in the UK now have COVID, and there's considerably more flu cases, which is why I've always said we'd need to bring back masks on buses and things like that. Plus, if your bus catches fire and you've got a mask on, you're less likely to inhale the fumes. Tragic fire that happened earlier in the week in Scotland, in Perth, in a hotel. It was only one room that caught fire, and the police are investigating as to why. But 3 people sadly lost their life. Keith Husser, Donna Yana Hertzvana, and Shadow McMath all lost their lives, which is not good. Your area is second highest for COVID. In what respect? Ukraine say that Russia have ignored their self-imposed ceasefire. Who would have thought? Who would have thought, eh? Yeah. I mean, is that a thing for, you know, or Ukraine saying nice, yeah, catching COVID, yeah, but your area second highest in what? In the UK, in Wigan, in Lancashire or Greater Manchester or Scotland or wherever you are. That's what I meant. COVID census results have come out and saying that more people are now saying on the forms that they're LGBT plus members, i.e. transgender either way, or bisexual, homosexual or lesbian, and it's more. I don't think there's more. I think more people are thinking that it's safe to say they are. I mean, in Emmerdale, one of the young lads in that has come out. Oh, Lancashire. Oh, fair enough. One of the young lads in Emmerdale has come out, and then he's got tricked by a lad who he fancies at school, and a video. And no doubt that's going to go wrong. But generally, people are very understanding now, and I think, you know, when I was 15 or 16 or whatever, none of my friends came out as being gay, straight. Yeah, it's Saturdays from now on because it's the 7th day of the 7th day, so it's a week. Hi Sean. So yeah, this is basically people now feeling able to say that they are. Although I imagine a lot of the older generation, i.e. my generation, maybe not because of what they went through, if they actually came out at the time, and it still sticks in the memory. So it's one of them things, isn't it, that I don't think necessarily the figures have gone up. I think people are just more able and feel that they shouldn't be ashamed of being who they are. And I agree, you shouldn't be ashamed of who you are. You are who you are. We're all individual. If we're all the same, it would be boring as hell. So yeah. Then that brings us nicely to Saturday. See, I've done well. I've not actually forgotten to do that. If you're listening on the podcast, you'll have no idea what I'm on about, but click on the link and you can watch the YouTube recording of this, and you might have an idea. Today, because it's Saturday, mate, it's Saturday, isn't it? It's Saturday. Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, and the Health Secretary met with around about 40 NHS bigwigs to try and sort out what is going on and see what is needed for sorting out the NHS. Now, Rishi, you can have this for free. What you need to do is you need to allow people to come into the country who are qualified doctors and nurses to fill the vacancies that we've got, whilst we train people, which takes 5 years plus, to fill the vacancies from the British population. Secondly, you need to do these wards that I keep going on about, which are the Nightingale wards, a bit like the Nightingale hospitals for COVID. And what we do is we set up these wards in buildings which are not used for anything at the moment, maybe office blocks or something like that. We put beds in there. We then staff them with retired or student nurses and doctors. And when you've had an operation and you're out of danger, you can be transferred there, which leaves that bed free for someone else to have an operation. Get rid of the queues. Also, it can be used for people who are able to go home, who don't need to be in hospital anymore, but the stuff isn't there, the care isn't in place for them, so they can go into these temporary wards for the time being, and bish bash bosh, job done. And if we do get a COVID surge, then we can use these for COVID wards as well, because they're already there. And you can set them all over the country, say old office blocks or buildings like you did when you did the Nightingale hospitals. He's not going to sort the NHS. The guy is an idiot. I think he's got more of a chance than he hasn't. Have I spelled Saturday wrong? No, I haven't spelled Saturday wrong. Saturday, yeah. Checking on Ian. Yeah, Saturday. Saturday, yeah. So yeah, it's something to be done. And again, I think if Labour got in, we'd be in a similar situation. Today was the last day of the RMT strikes. So the last planned strike day, and 20% of trains ran today. Now, when I do my walks along the canal, there's lots of train lines go over the canal, and I always see a few trains. And yesterday, because the strike was on yesterday, I didn't see a single train, obviously. But 20% of trains ran today, but it's the last planned day, and Rishi and, well, not Rishi, but ministers and government ministers are going to be having a chat with the RMT and other unions that are on strike to see if they can sort things out at the beginning of the week. But again, we work with bated breath. Locally, just off the M61, which runs very near Wigan, in fact the junction that I come off at, or near enough come off at, the Horwich, there was a car found broken down and 2 people missing, this man and this lady, and apparently they have a newborn baby. This happened on Thursday. No one's seen or heard from them since Thursday. And then finally on this section, train drivers are overpaid, not underpaid. Yes, train drivers are overpaid. No, they've not accepted the pay rise. The things are still going on. Go back to the RMT. One of my mates left the police to become a train driver because it was more money, considerably more money, and less hours. And obviously less risk of being stabbed or shot. So yeah, the train drivers, that's why I don't agree, you know, that they're demanding, when money's so tight, they're demanding all this. And another thing that's annoying me as well is the gas prices apparently are going to go up, but gas prices worldwide have gone down. So gas bills now should be going down, not going up. And I think that should be looked at as well, because a bit like petrol prices, whenever you look at, you know, a barrel of oil price worldwide, it goes up instantly. Pump prices go up, but then the prices drop for whatever reason, and it takes ages for the prices to go down again. And it's the same now with well, everything. It wouldn't make more impact if they carried on working, but letting people on without having to pay, yeah, that would make more impact. Nearly double train drivers are paid to police. Yeah, he went to a job where it was paid around about 40 grand a year, 40 grand a year. So yeah, he was, and that was as a starter. So yeah, they're on bloody good wages. Meanwhile, in America, this is breaking news. A 6-year-old has been arrested for shooting a teacher in class. Now, get that in your head. A 6-year-old has taken a gun to class with the intention of shooting their teacher. The police are saying they do not think this is an accident. They do not think this is an accidental shooting, which is why this child, aged 6, has been arrested. I'd be looking at the parents. How can my 6-year-old get a gun and take it from the house because I dare say it was the parents' gun, we don't know yet, so I say it's breaking news, and put it in their bag and then take it to school and no one notice that a 6-year-old is carrying a gun. America, I've said it before, I'll say it again, sort your king gun laws out, please. I don't think the teacher's been seriously injured, but still, shocking. 6-year-old with a gun. So now I've come up with a new thing, which is Hero of the Week and Villain of the Week. And I've also got my personal highlight of the week. My personal highlight of the week, I haven't got a picture of. I blame Fortnite. Lucky didn't build a block of flats while shooting. We didn't even wait until Meanwhile in America. Exactly, Smiley Mac. This is breaking news. It's not actually made it into Meanwhile in America, which is coming up shortly. You'll be pleased to hear. I'm pleased to hear it anyway. But we're still here. My personal highlight was I went for a walk around Wigan to film the new Wigan Watch opening sequence, which has gone up, and people are now sending in audio and videos, so I can then edit in their people saying Wigan Watch and all that kind of stuff. You're more than welcome to do so. All you need to do is record yourself saying Wigan Watch and then email it to me, and then I will try and incorporate it into the Wigan Watch thing. It's better if you live in Wigan though. I don't want some American going, hey, Wigan Watch. It was great, Wigan Watch, yeah. But anyway, I was walking, I went to Tesco and bought a few bits and pieces, including a loaf of bread, and then walking back along the canal, and these two swans near the B&Q, and I think they were wanting some, I think they were playing Fortnite, they wanted to buy some wood to build a tower or something, I don't know. But anyway, this one towards me. Where would we send them to? How do we email it? If you go to my information page, there's an email there. You can link on that and send me the email via that. So I'm walking along the canal, carrying this bag of shopping, which I must admit was heavy, and these two swans come up to me. So I filmed them, and I think I've actually used a bit in the Wigan Watch opening sequence of these two swans. And I said, sorry guys, they come straight to me. I said, sorry guys, I haven't got anything to give you. And then I realised I've got a loaf of bread in my bag. So I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. So I go in my bag and take the crust off the loaf of bread, because I never eat the crust anyway. And I start feeding the swans this bread. And then one of the swans tries to take the bread out of my hand, and I'm like, whoa, you might have bird flu, because you sound a bit raspy. So, get back. So I start throwing the bread and everything. But that was my moment, a little bit of interaction with nature. I thought it was really nice. So that was my highlight of the week. But we need to find out the hero of the week and the villain of the week. But don't worry, because we ain't done yet. We've still got to get through Meanwhile in America. Look at that! Look! It moves and everything. It's a GIF. I've got a GIF. I've discovered GIFs, folks. Oh, all new looks and everything. It's so good. I'm so excited. Sorry, I'm over it now. So yeah, Meanwhile in America, which now involves me moving around a little bit. So this is probably going to be a huge. Yeah, I thought it would be, because I haven't tested these beforehand. Can you guess what it is yet? Well, it's news from America, obviously, which I need to shrink down rather a lot. Oh, it's lightning. Okay, is it lightning? Or is it Americans being stupid? I'll give you a clue. It's Americans being stupid. There we go. Oh no! Hang on. I need to sort this. It's been such a busy week trying to sort all this out, that I've not actually been able to actually sort it all out. So yeah. Just bear with us while I sort this to the thingamabob, and then we've got, where's the other one? There's another one down there. Where's it gone? Yeah. No, it's not. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? No, that's the wrong one. Don't move that. Oh, it's gone. Okay. Oh, that's gone as well. Oh dear. There we go. Right. Oh, crikey bobs. What a day. Oh, there it is. Okay. Move that up. And there we go. Right, we're all back again. Need to move that one up as well though, don't we? There we go. Right, we're all neat and tidy again now. Oh, bit of a spoiler, I'm going to have to do that again very shortly. Meanwhile in America, the UFO scare caused by South Korea's unannounced rocket launch. So it wasn't actually in America. I mean, I've said all that. Oh, I've gone completely to pot. It'll be more organised next week because I know what the size of things needs to be now, don't I? So, in Seoul, where are we? There we go. South Korea's military confirmed it test-fired solid fuel rocket Friday after an unannounced launch triggered a brief public scare of a suspected UFO appearance or North Korean missile launch. The Defence Ministry said in a statement that the rocket launch was part of its efforts to build a space-based surveillance capability and bolster its defence posture. It didn't notify people though because, well, it forgot, which is a bit, a bit scary. But anyway, researchers want to make pig livers human-like to ease organ shortage. And you're like, well, this is actually a good idea, which is not often I say something like this from. Well, it's not. It is America, yeah. Minnesota, the ghostly form floating in a large jar as with the robust reddish brown of a healthy organ just hours before it now the semi-translucent white tubes of branches on trees showing through. It's a pig's liver that is gradually being transformed to look and act like a human one as part of scientists' long quest to ease the nation's transplant shortage by bioengineering replacement organs. So basically they're trying to make, we know they can use pig livers and pig hearts to a degree because they're very similar to human, but now they're trying to make them when they grow to actually be swappable and whatever. Be interesting to see if that's going to happen or not. Biden pardoned 6 people ahead of the new year for drug murder convictions. So people who've been done for drug murder convictions have been pardoned, including a battered wife who killed her husband decades ago, a man who sold untaxed whiskey at the age of 18, and a former soldier who pleaded guilty to getting high on ecstasy. Today, President Biden is granting 6 full pardons for individuals who have served their sentences and have demonstrated a commitment to improving their communities and lives from those around them. So President Biden doing something, President, didn't he? Without messing it up. Pizza Jane swamped with hysterical 5-star reviews after Andrew Tate's arrest. Now we know Andrew Tate's one of the biggest assholes in the world. Controversial influencer Andrew Tate's arrest on Thursday won humble Romanian pizza chain a legion of new fans who rushed to express their appreciation for the business in the form of hilarious 5-star online reviews. Tate and his brother were taken into custody at his villa in a suburb of the Romanian capital of Bucharest on charges of rape and kidnapping, and the arrest came shortly after they posted a video of them with the pizza boxes. Now I don't quite understand how they worked it out from pizza boxes, but anyway. Jared Kushner said Trump wanted to trademark rigged election after the 2020 loss. Former President Donald Trump wanted to trademark the phrases rigged election and save America after he lost a bid for re-election in 2020. This man is just a complete nightmare. A 17-year-old fatally shot inside Brooklyn apartment building. A 17-year-old boy was fatally shot inside a Brooklyn apartment building on Friday night in the latest acts of gun violence to victimise the city's youth. The teen was shot in the back at Caton Avenue in Flatbush at around 8:55 p.m. He was taken to the area hospital where he was pronounced dead. America, sort your gun crime out and everything else to do with guns, please. Just for your own sakes. Bolivia, protesters burn cars and clash with police after governor arrested. Protesters in Bolivia's Santa Cruz, a relatively wealthy farming region, attacked buildings, burned cars and blocked highways as part of a 24-hour strike on Friday, this was last week, following the arrest of the regional governor, a right-wing opposition leader. As night fell, protesters in parts of the provincial capital torched cars and tyres and hurled fireworks towards the police. Nice to know that the Tate arrest put... Oh, you're a super fan of him, Sean. You've been brainwashed by him. Don't worry, it's fine. Florida business partners die after shooting each other in dispute at work. America, sort your gun laws out, please. 2 Florida men killed each other in a deadly shootout at their shared business. The shooting occurred at their business located in East Lakeland, Florida. While the Polk County Sheriff's Office did not release the name of their business, a Google search showed Service On-Site Central Florida Incorporated was the address of the shooting. So you're having an argument, you shoot each other, you're both dead. Brilliant. New COVID variant XBB.1.5 is rapidly spreading in USA. Yeah, it's hopefully not too bad, but there's a lot of new COVID variants coming, and there'll be a lot more coming because of the explosion of COVID in China. So we just hope that none of them are deadly, otherwise we're back to square one, thanks China. A mass shooting in Alabama New Year's Eve celebration leaves 1 dead and 9 injured. America, sort your gun laws out, please. An Alabama New Year's celebration was marred by a mass shooting that left at least 1 person dead and 9 others injured. Shots rang out at 11:14 p.m. In Mobile as thousands of people were gathered in the nearby moon pie over the Mobile festivities. Yeah, it just goes on and on and on, and they don't seem to notice or wake up to it. Mexican authorities uncover human skulls in packaging heading for the US. 4 human skulls were discovered inside a package at Mexican airport that was due to be sent by courier to the United States, local authorities said on Friday. The skulls were found wrapped in aluminium foil inside a cardboard box. Now, one can imagine that they were wrapped in aluminium because they thought that would stop the X-rays getting through. But no, it doesn't work like that. A Florida Ferris wheel loses power with more than 60 people needed to be rescued. A power outage on a Florida amusement park ride left more than 62 parkgoers in the dark on Saturday night. The wheel at Icon Park in Orlando lost power at 6:20 p.m. as spectators saw fire shooting out from the top of the pods. The Orange County Fire and Rescue sent ladders up the 400-foot ride to all the 20 occupied pods to rescue the people. No one was injured. North Korea, Kim orders exponential expansion of nuclear arsenal. Everyone's, well, it used to be least favourite dictator, but not anymore. North Korea, Kim Jong-un ordered the exponential expansion of his country's nuclear arsenal, the development of more powerful intercontinental ballistic missiles, and the launch of its first spy satellite in 2023. So he's going to be rapidly expanding what he's currently got. Meanwhile, the mercenary army boss who's worse than Putin could be Russia's next leader. This is the guy who's basically, I think, pushing Putin to carry on because he's earning billions of dollars from this. As Russia's ruling elite one by one fall down stairs or out of windows, another star is rising. Now speculation is mounting that Putin's share is preparing to step out of the kitchen. He started out with a catering business. He quickly became part of Vladimir Putin's inner sanctum, and he's now behind Russia's cyber warriors, a host of online trolls, and he has his own mercenary army as well, operating in Ukraine. So yeah, I imagine if he says anything wrong though, he will fall out of an apartment block at some point, or a hotel window. A New York City spinning Alamo Cube, once playful art installation, is now buckled down as the city mulls its repair. Now this apparently is a cube that span round, but has become dangerous, so they've now propped it up with some welded beams. Spun right into the ground, a beloved black spinning cube is in such a sad shape that it's now saddled in a metal brace while City Moguls mull repair of the massive art installation. All neighbours are getting a bit angry at the blatant regret of a nearly half-century old treasure. Yeah, it's a cube. It's cute if it spins around, but I've never heard of it before. Meanwhile, why does a mystery blonde keep popping up in Putin photo ops? Well, a female soldier honoured by Russian President Vladimir Putin in the New Year's message has popped up in his photos with the leader before, as an ice cream vendor, an angler, a Christmas time parishioner. The blonde, who's clad in fatigues and fettered with other reputable soldiers in the dictator's holiday broadcast, is a regular fixture at Putin's public appearances, but nobody knows who she is. She might just be his PA. I assume he has a PA. Nobody knows. Horrifying video shows aftermath of SUV crash in a New York City sports bar. Video shows victims lying on the ground after an SUV slammed into the Upper Manhattan restaurant late on Monday, injuring nearly 24 people, including 3 children. The scary scenes played out around 9 p.m. A white Audi, of course it was, struck a black Toyota, causing the SUV to jump the curve and career into the Inwood Bar and Grill on Broadway. Thankfully, there were no loss of life, and yeah, Audi drivers. What can you do? Sleepy driver puts Tesla on autopilot and sends police on a high-speed chase in Germany. A drowsy driver in Germany had his licence revoked after he fell asleep behind the wheel of his Tesla, which had been driving on autopilot, and accidentally led police on a 15-minute pursuit. Police patrol on Bamberg attempted to pull over the Tesla driving on the A70, but the driver did not respond, including them blaring their horns and sounding off their ninas. Yeah, I don't think you can do that in the UK. You can't have your Tesla driving automatically, can you? But yeah, scary times ahead. Meghan Markle to release her own bombshell memoir after Harry spare. So they just don't give up, do they? Meghan Markle, who I've lost all respect for again, although I gained a bit during the Netflix thing. But yeah, they don't want publicity, but they just keep repeating themselves over and over again about how badly they've been treated. Well, keep your gob shut. You can, but you have to keep your hands on the wheel. Well, you can't do that if you're asleep, so don't fall asleep behind the Tesla. Ninas, nothing wrong with Ninas, Angela O'Kane. It's what they actually call them. Prince Harry isn't the only one looking to cash in on a telltale old memoir, according to the reports. As the world awaits the Duke of Sussex hotly anticipated bombshell book Spare, it seems that his wife Meghan Markle is also looking to ink a similar deal. According to the Mail on Sunday, the Duchess of Sussex said to be contemplating getting extremely candid about her time in the royal family. Yeah, I mean, I can see Harry being pushed to the situation where he starts to harm himself, which is not good. But I can also see Meghan, well, I wouldn't recommend she got into a car with anyone in Paris, put it that way. South Korea talks with the US on management of nukes. South Korea has reconfirmed on Tuesday that Seoul and Washington are discussing its involvement in US nuclear asset management in the face of the intensifying North Korean nuclear threats. So there is a possibility that South Korea are going to ask America to have some of America's nuclear missiles actually in South Korea. So there you go. A teenage pilot makes a miraculous emergency landing on California's Cajun Pass. A teenage pilot saves the lives of himself and 3 passengers when he made an emergency landing onto Route 66 in California on Monday after his small plane lost power. Brock Peters, can't get more American than that, can you? Brock Peters, 18, was flying a single-seater engine plane with his family members on board, and he's said to have heard a pop from the engine while flying above Cajun Pass. He landed between the cars and no one was hurt. So yeah, a sensible teenager in America. Wow, that's in their own place, I'll let you know that. At least 70% of Shanghai's 25 million residents are now infected with COVID, doctors fear. A senior doctor in one of Shanghai's top hospitals is sounding the alarms on surging COVID-19 cases in America. See, the problem you've got is the variants come from when multiple people have it, and you've got it, and then you get a variant of someone else, a different variant of the one you've got, and then they mutate within you. So if 70% of 25 million people, which is getting on for 20 million people, are in a confined area, then that is when super variants could come from, which is really, really scary. But it could also give a variant that kills COVID altogether. So go figure. Yeah, the hospitals are not coping in China. I mean, they weren't coping a couple of weeks ago, so God knows how they're going to cope now. New York could see temperatures in the 60s, which is unseasonably warm, after the... pardon me, need a drink. My ex-tutor lives in Shanghai with his partner and he's on lockdown. Alright, well, he's probably doing the right thing, but the majority of people now in China, although, to be fair, a lot of people in China are staying away from going out and whatnot because of, they don't want to give people COVID, so they're staying at home and stuff. So yeah, there are sensible people in China, but they're also, it's just rampant, isn't it? And it may blow over in a few weeks, and they may sort it all out and it may die down, or we may, like I say, get a super variant that ends up going around the world and killing off the world's population. You just don't know. That's a scary thing. A stretch of warm weather is expected across the county's eastern half to start the week. Now this is not long after they were freezing to death, literally, a couple of weeks ago, with the cyclone bomb. But don't worry, because on the other side of the country there's a bomb cyclone called the Pineapple Express, which is going to bring floods to California. And they say the weather isn't messed up. I think it could be. But going back to Tesla, 4 survive after a Tesla plunges off a 250-foot cliff, and it's an absolute miracle they survived. 4 people miraculously survived after their Tesla plunged 250 feet down a deadly California cliff, dubbed the Devil's Slide. Photos showed the mangled wreckage of the electric car on rocks close to the water's edge. Yeah, in Montana. There might be more about that later. Meanwhile, pregnant woman hit by a stray bullet while walking on New York City street. A pregnant woman was hit in the leg by a stray bullet while walking on Bronx Street Monday evening, the cops said. The 35-year-old, who was 8 months pregnant, was blasted in the left calf around 7:40 p.m. on the Grand Concourse near East 192nd Street in Forsham Manor. The shooter's intended target was not the woman. So yeah, America, sort your gun laws out. Putin deploys a frigate to the Atlantic Ocean armed with hypersonic Zircon cruise missiles. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced on Wednesday the development of a frigate armed with a hypersonic Zircon cruise missile, a type of weaponry, he says, that has no analogues, which means basically it cannot be shot down because it goes that fast. We all know about hypersonic missiles because Sam Fender sung about them a couple of years ago. So we do know about them, Vladimir Putin, but thanks anyway. Also, I think as well, if you've got a weapon that's that powerful, if you're launching it from a ship, isn't there a possibility that it may blow the bottom of the ship out when it launches? Hashtag just saying. You know, got to think these things through, haven't you? Meanwhile, Prince Harry, yay! He's even in American news. Security around Prince Harry's Prince Harry's Telltale Spare rivals Harry Potter release. Publishers of Prince Harry's hotly anticipated memoir Spare are said to be sparing no expense to thwart leaks ahead of next week's global release, except in Spain. The reason I put this up because it mentioned Harry Potter. Now, I was working at Asda, Walmart, when Harry Potter last book came out, and we had 2 pallets of it in the back, and someone had to stand next to it to make sure that none of the staff nicked one or read one, and I was given the responsibility of looking after it and then bringing it out at the launch on you know, pump trucks, them trucks that you see in supermarkets that you go like that and it lifts up the pallet wherever you're lifting up. And I was like, security. Me. Couldn't find my way out of a wet paper bag. But anyway, I was security, and I had to go and stand next to this thing for like half an hour. So what did I do? I've never read a Harry Potter book in my life. I've never seen any of the movies. I tried watching the first one, and I got to the bit where the letters came through the chimney, and I turned it off. Oh, this is rubbish. So I've never watched any of the movies. So I'm there, least Harry Potter person in the world. So I read the last page. Oh, the power I then had. Oh, it was unbelievable. So I'm walking through, and everyone's going, oh, what's this? And I'm like, wait till you get to the last page. I keep going like that. I got in trouble, but I didn't care. I was a rebel. Not Harry rebel, but a rebel. Because that's what I do, I rebel. A doctor is accused of intentionally driving the Tesla off the cliff with his wife and kids. Now that's a Tesla. The driver of the Tesla that punched 250 feet off the cliff on Monday has been arrested after authorities said he intentionally drove over the edge with his wife and children inside the car. I don't need to watch the Harry Potters. I'm not missing out. I've not watched E.T. either. If I get to being like my mother, where I can't get out of a chair and I can't really do anything, I've got millions of movies that I could watch. But we can only hope he's on that ship. All round about the supersonic, hypersonic missile. Yeah, for the launch. Yeah, be there on the ship and then poof, poof, gone. But yeah. Harry Potter and E.T. and all the Fast and Furious movies, Transformer movies, DC movies, Marvel movies, got all them to watch. So if I live long enough I might watch them at some point. A 14-year-old arrested after dropping loaded gun at a Queen's high school. Wasn't arrested for having the gun, arrested for dropping the gun. America, sort your fucking gun laws out. The 14-year-old boy was arrested on Tuesday after he was caught with a loaded gun at his Queen's High School, police said. Just after 12:30, school safety agents observed the student drop the gun while walking up a stairway. According to the police and sources, the security officers grabbed the teen and recovered the loaded .22 caliber handgun. I've never watched Dirty Dancing either, but that's because I'm a bloke, I suppose. Well, they shouldn't have dropped it. Well, yeah, exactly. If they hadn't have dropped it, they'd have been fine. Not America. Sort your laws out, please. Texas twins end up with 2 separate birthdays in 2 different years. This is cool. This is a nice story. A pair of twins were set to be delivered in Texas just around midnight on New Year's Day and ended up being born in separate years. Callie Joan Scott gave birth to her first twin, baby girl Annie Jo, at 11:55 p.m. on December the 31st, and then delivered her second daughter, Ellie Rose, at 12:01 a.m. on January the 1st. So, yeah, you've got twins born within minutes of each other, 6 minutes of each other, but I've got 2 separate birthdays in 2 separate years. So, I don't know. You can always say, I was born a year after you, even though it's 6 minutes. But yeah, it's got to happen, I suppose, somewhere in the world, at some point. 2023 predictions from 1923 included Apple Watches and no more cancer. A lot can change in a century, or not much. 100 years ago, scientists and sociologists looked into their crystal balls to the year 2023 and made a host of predictions which range from the hysterical wrong to the shockingly accurate. There would be Nostradamuses, whose century-old forecasts were shared on Twitter by a Canadian professor, declared that cancer would be gone by the year 2023 and we would have devices that would monitor everything that we do. And then things like we'd be able to teleport everywhere and fly around in carriages. So yeah, some of it was right, some of it was very wrong. But either way, still quite impressive. I didn't realise there was so much American stuff, but anyway. Funeral homes are not coping with the COVID deaths. So bodies are now being burnt on the streets in China. I mean, this is horrendous. I mean, not only for the families of the deceased, but for people going by on the regular stuff that they do. Graphic images appear to show families in China burning the bodies of their loved ones on the streets as a horrifying consequence of the country's current surge in COVID cases. Chinese funeral homes and hospitals say they've become overwhelmed after the country's zero COVID policies were reversed last month. It's just nasty, horrible, nasty. And that's the situation that people have come to in China. I know they do it like in places in India. They have places where they burn people, cremate people, publicly, along, I think, the River Ganges. There's an area where you can set up your funeral pyre and put your loved one on there and burn them, and it's meant to be religious because it's near the river and all that kind of thing. And then you put the ashes in the river, and it makes sense. But this is just on the streets in cities in China. It's just horrendous what they're going through at the moment. And let's be honest, if COVID had been worse, as bad as we feared, the whole world might have been in this situation. Even in the town where you live, there could have been people having to be burned in piles just to get rid of the virus and the bodies, because there was no other way of doing it. Sadly, at the moment, that's happening in China. And it's not the Chinese people's fault that all this is going on. It's the government and the people behind the government who are responsible for all this. A Wisconsin canal was clogged by melted butter after a dairy fire. Now, you don't really hear of fires in dairies, but anyway. Time to bust out the lobster and crab legs, they say, in Wisconsin. A historic canal in the state became full of butter on Monday after a fire at a dairy plant caused a storage room full of the stuff to melt and cascade into the nearby waterway. Butter was running down like 3 inches thick on the steps of the dairy, the fire chief said. Associated milk producers said they were trying to help with the clear up, but they've got other things to worry about. Arsonists set themselves on fire while attacking a business. Now, I've seen the video. Blown up scale of what butter does to the human body. Exactly, I don't have dairy, and people can't believe I'm 74. But it's because I don't have dairy. I'm not 74 either. A video has emerged of 2 suspected arsonists in California setting themselves on fire during an attack on a business, with one of them yelling "ah" while trying to escape. I've seen the video. It's hilarious. People, hey Pilco, people need to see the video, because these lads got what they deserved. I mean, you don't go around setting fire to things, and yeah, no, it was funny. A former Colorado funeral home owner is sentenced to 20 years in prison for selling body parts from over 500 corpses. A former Colorado funeral home director who dissected over 500 corpses and sold body parts without the consent of grieving relatives has been sentenced to 20 years. Megan Hayes, 46, and her mother dissected some 560 corpses between 2010 and 2018, selling body parts to medical training companies that didn't know they had been illegally obtained. God. I mean, when you're dead, yeah, you don't know what's going on, but yeah. A $2.9 million Bugatti and 10 other luxury cars seized from Andrew Tate. Police in Romania seized 11 luxury vehicles worth millions of dollars from social media influencer Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan in connection with allegations they were imprisoned and abused half a dozen women. The sports cars taken from Tate's Bucharest property included the $2.9 million Bugatti that Tate used to taunt the 20-year-old Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg with before his arrest. Hilarious. You're still here, Sean. I do despise that man immensely. A chilling video shows a passenger warning the chopper pilot before the fatal crash. This is what I was on about before. A chilling video has emerged from inside the cockpit of one of the two helicopters involved in the fatal mid-air collision in Australia, as the passenger taps the pilot on their arm to warn them of the impending disaster. I've seen this video as well, and it is horrendous, because this is the helicopter where everyone survived and actually landed, but you actually see the damage coming through the blades and everything. He's got them back. California declares state of emergency as bomb cyclone barrels ashore. That's basically it for that one. Taiwan is to give cash payouts to citizens in New Year blessing. In Taipei, Taiwan plans to give cash payouts of nearly $200 to every citizen this year. Premier Su Chang announced on Wednesday, saying that the island's economic growth will be shared by everyone. The export-reliant economy, a global tech powerhouse for products including semiconductor chips, grew 6.45% in 2021, the fastest rate since it expanded 10.25% in 2010. While the economic growth is expected to slow in 22 and 23, the government has made payouts to every citizen in the country. Isn't that nice? Well, it's not a country though, it's a democracy. We must remember this. It's a democracy, not a country. Well, I'm jealous. Yeah, you need to move to Taiwan quick. 5 miners, i.e. children, not people who go underground digging coal out, among 8 dead with gunshot wounds in a Utah home. 8 people, including 5 miners, were discovered dead inside a Utah home on Wednesday, the authorities said. The 3 adults and 5 children were all found with gunshot wounds after officers visited the home on Albert Drive during a welfare check. So, being a welfare check means it was a family that was being looked at and everything. And somehow, one of them's got a gun and killed everyone. They say later on, as it says, murder-suicide is suspected. Again, America. Sorry, good laws out, please. Prince William allegedly threw Prince Harry on the floor over Meghan Markle's spat. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Harry, we don't care. We don't care. Iranian suicide drones contained parts made by 13 US companies. So the Iranian drones that are being used by Russia to kill civilians and destroy the infrastructure for civilians in Ukraine, are basically built from American parts. Of the 52 parts taken out of the UAVs by Ukrainian intelligence, 40 of them were made in America by 13 different companies. So basically, America is bombing Ukraine via Iran, whilst giving Ukraine weapons to shoot down the... Yeah, you couldn't write it, could you? Oh, we've done that. We've done Taiwan. Well done, Taiwan, by the way. We love you. Love you a long time. $5? No? Prince Harry's new memoir goes on sale early in Spain by accident. They say. I mean, that's a good move by the Spain booksellers company, isn't it? How Diane inspired Harry to try and make peace with the royals at Queen Elizabeth's funeral. And you're like, what? Prince Harry opened up his telltale memoirs about how his mother, Princess Diana's legacy, inspired him to make peace with the royal family in the wake of his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth's death, but that his father and brother had foiled his attempts at reconciliation. The Windsors have been at war for months, Harry recalls in a translated script from the leaked Spanish edition of Spare. Yes, I thought when I read that he'd seen a ghost of Princess Diana saying, "You've got to reconcile with your brother and everyone," but no, he decided that he was going to use his sister, his mother's legacy to try and sort things out, while still writing books and doing. Prince Harry recalls losing virginity to older woman. Prince Harry has revealed in his new memoir the tawdry details of losing his virginity to an older woman who treated him like a young stallion. His words. In translated pages of the Spanish edition of Spare obtained by the Post, the Duke of Sussex, 38, recounts having sex for the first time, summing up the experience as an inglorious episode. His partner was an older woman who liked horses quite a lot. She treated me not unlike a young stallion. Evening Girl here. Moved to Saturdays, yeah, because the week's moved, hasn't it? It's the 7th, so we're on a Saturday now. I'm expecting fewer viewers because most people go out on a Saturday, but I might get more views when it's gone up. Indeed, JT. Is that JT? Yeah, there's JT. Hi, JT. You've got rid of your old thing. You've changed it back to JT. Hiya, Rachel, as well. Hope you're good. A robot lawyer powered by AI will help fight speeding tickets as it takes its first case in court. The world's first robot lawyer will take I can't get my head around this. The world's first robot lawyer will take a case in court next month, with the artificial intelligence legal assistant helping a defendant fight a traffic ticket. The AI, billed as the world's first robot lawyer by the startup that created it, Do Not Pay, will run on a smartphone and listen to court arguments in real time before telling the defendant what to say via headphones. It's like, what? Oh yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. What? So yeah, robot. No one's job safe, is it? A terrifying new video shows the aftermath of a bloody New York City subway shooting. America, sort your gun laws out. Harrowing new video unsealed in court late Wednesday shows the bloody aftermath of a mass shooting that wounded 10 people in a Brooklyn subway car in April. But yeah, America, sort it out, please. Meanwhile, Harry. Shut Up Harry trends as Prince Harry's book Spare leaks, and people call it pathetic. This is what I mean. America are now turning on Harry as well. The world was in for a royal surprise when Prince Harry's explosive memoir Spare was leaked early in stores in Spain overnight. Now, bombshells from the book, which was kept under wraps ahead of its intended January 10th release, are emerging, with sordid tales about his rivalry with arch nemesis Prince William and his thoughts on his evil stepmom Camilla. And people are now trending with Shut Up Harry and pathetic. And rightly so. Prince Harry begged Dad King Charles not to marry Camilla as he feared she'd be an evil stepmom. All together now. Shut up, Harry. Prince Harry brands Prince William his arch nemesis in his bombshell Spare memoir. All together now. Shut up, Harry. Biden yet again refers to his vice president as President Harris during a border speech. President Biden yet again referred to his vice president Camilla Harris as President Harris during Thursday's remarks on immigration at the White House, and she kind of pulled a face, like a kind of face, which I thought was amusing. But let's be honest, considering how old he is, she might well be President Harris before the end of the next election. Harry gloats about outranking William in the military and killing 25 Talibans. Everyone, all together now. Shut up, Harry. Man holds hostage a pizza delivery driver who forgets his drink, and rightly so as well. A Pennsylvania pizza delivery driver lived to tell the tale after he was held hostage for mistakenly not delivering a man his drink. According to the complaints, Leo Lamont ordered a pizza from a local pizza restaurant on the 15th of December, and after the pizza delivery man dropped off the pizza, Tony allegedly exited his apartment and asked, "Where's his soda?" And then he got a gun out and he got the guy into his apartment whilst they delivered his drink. No, he kept the pizza delivery guy hostage. Now this is a turnaround, isn't it? Taliban call for Prince Harry to face war crimes trial for bragging about killing 25 fighters. The Taliban on Friday called for Prince Harry to face trials for war crimes after he bragged about killing 25 troops in Afghanistan, which UK military leaders fear could incite assassination attempts. The fundamental group's interior minister insisted on Twitter that the leaks sections of the exiled royal memoir Spare were akin to confessing to murder. And they also went on to say that the soldiers were family people, they had mothers and fathers and all that kind of stuff. And I can imagine a fatwa coming out on him at some point, because it's not something you brag about. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, at the time what he did was wrong, but you don't brag about it. I mean, that's just common sense, isn't it? You know. Passengers on an Aero-Mexican flight crouch in fear as plane is caught in a cartel crossfire. That's an attack plane, Dad, said one of David's young children as they spotted Mexican military aircraft touching down alongside their Aero-Mexican passenger plane on Thursday. Then the gunfire began. As we were accelerating for takeoff, we heard gunshots very close to the plane, and that's when we all threw ourselves to the floor. Now, to be fair, if you're in a plane and you throw yourself to the floor, you're actually, because you're high up, you're throwing yourself nearer the guns. What you need to do is stand on top of the seats and kind of hang on to the ceiling. That way you're further up. Just if you ever got caught in anything like that in the future. There were no injuries and no damage to the plane, and it landed safely, but it would be terrifying at the time. A woman allegedly abducts child and then runs down the street naked and fights with coppers. Hi, Kim. An Indiana woman kidnapped an 8-year-old girl from a playground, dropped the child off at her home with a confused husband, and then ran down the street naked. I mean, it's like a regular day in Wigan, I'll be honest with you. No, I'm joking. It's more like Liverpool. And then she was chased by police and all the just usual weekend. Yeah, indeed. As a request. As requested. I mean, no, I mean, if you was she kidnapping the child? Because she knew where the kid lived, or was she just picking the child up and taking it back to its parents' house? I don't know. Anyway, all together now. Prince Harry saw red mist Prince Harry saw red mist in brother's face when he went on the attack. What brothers don't fight? Doesn't matter how old you are, you still fight. The brothers, siblings, you argue, you fight. Hawaii's Kilauea volcano erupts again and the summit crater glows. I mean, that is a beautiful picture, I'll be honest with you. Really, really nice picture. But it's not long after a previous Hawaiian volcano stopped erupting. But one imagines the pressure's just moved round to this new volcano. Family of Capitol officer who died on January the 6th is suing Donald Trump and 2 rioters. The family of a Capitol police officer who died on a day after defending the building during the January the 6th riot has filed for wrongful death lawsuit against Donald Trump and 2 rioters. The estate of Brian Sicknick, represented his longtime partner Sandra Garcia, is seeking $10 million in damages from all 3 defendants in the suit filed in the US District Court. So yeah, Donald Trump could be getting done for basically manslaughter. You can drink lava but only once. Let's see if you can get it in a cup. Behind the heated spat between Prince William and Meghan Markle. Prince William angrily pointed the finger in Meghan Markle's face during a tense gathering. All together. Where have you gone? All together. Hang on, I've lost it. Don't go anywhere. There we go. Shut up, Harry. Thank you. Real Housewife star Jen Shah is sentenced to 6.5 years in prison for a fraud case. Disgraced Real Housewife of Salt Lake City star Jen Shah was sentenced on Friday to 6.5 years in prison for heading a years-long telemarketing scam that targeted elderly Americans. Yeah, you're a superstar for no reason whatsoever, and you then use that to scam people. Brilliant. Prince Harry exposes how Meghan Markle misled opera viewers about Kate Middleton's spat. You're like, what? Prince Harry exposes in his bombshell memoir how his wife Meghan Markle misled viewers in her interview with Oprah by trying to pin a spat over Flowers Girls dresses all on Kate Middleton, when in reality she had also upset the royal sister-in-law by commentating on her baby brain. So yeah, he's basically having a go at his wife there, but it doesn't really matter. One thing remains, and that is where are we? There we are. Shut up, Harry. Texas dad fears ex-wife plans to chemically castrate 9-year-old son. You're like, what? That can't be right. A Texas father is at the centre of a bitter years-long gender transition case. Claims his ex-wife had moved to California planning to chemically castrate their 9-year-old son. 9-year-old son. James, who identifies as a girl named Luna, Jeff Younger, a dad of 2 who unsuccessfully ran for the Texas State House campaign, has made. You're like, what? The ex-wife, that's 9 years old. It's mad. Dad legally changes gender to female in bid to gain custody of his kids. A father has legally changed his gender identification in an attempt to gain custody of his 2 younger daughters following a bitter spat with his former wife. Renee Ramos is now listed as a female in official documents in his native Ecuador, despite the fact he still identifies as a cisgender male in his everyday life. This is what I mean. This transgender thing, it's all well and good, but you make it too easy for people to do it, and they can abuse the system. Again, I've mentioned this many times before in previous What a Week That Was. Andrew Tate messaged underage girls, daughter of prominent Romanian politician claims disgraced influencer Andrew Tate contracted her and several classmates when they were young teens, trying to lure some with promise of a date. Again, it's all speculation and nothing's been proven, yeah. Journalist detained in South Sudan over video of president wetting himself. A group of journalists were detained in South Sudan this week after circulating a video that showed the country's president appearing to wet himself during a national event. The December footage showed a dark stain spreading down President Salva Kiir's pants as he stood for the national anthem during the inauguration of a new road. Now, I'll be honest with you, if you're of a certain age and you've got to stand or sit somewhere for a very, very long period of time and you need a wee and you can't go anywhere, what are you meant to do? I mean, tenner for men may be a good idea in the future for him. I mean, I've never personally had that problem. Maybe the other end, but certainly not wee-wise. But that was when I was ill. Prince Harry. I wasn't Prince William's best man. It was all a lie. All together now. Shut up, Harry. Iran executes 2 more men detained over nationwide protests. Again, Iran are just becoming... Iran said it executed... Thank you. Iran said it executed 2 men on Saturday convicted of allegedly killing a parliamentary volunteer during the demonstration. The latest executions aimed at halting the nationwide protest, now challenging the country's theocracy. Everyone's saying shut up, Harry. Brilliant, love it. Shut up, Harry. Right, where are we up to? Oh, that's that one, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. A passenger attempted to bring emotional support boa constrictor snake through security. The Transportation Secretary Administration says that a traveller attempted to bring an emotional support pet, which was a boa constrictor snake, through security. A spokesman for the agency tweeted that the incident happened at Tampa's International Airport in December when a woman had the snake named Bartholomew in a carrier bag. The snake was detected in the bag when it went through the X-rays. Kevin McCarthy has been elected House Speaker on the 15th vote, most since the Civil War. Now, I said a while ago that Keir Starmer has got it all wrong about having two elected houses in charge of the UK government, i.e. the House of Commons and the House of Lords. The House of Lords is outdated and needs modifying, I've gone through all that, but we don't want an elected one because this kind of thing happens. The Republicans basically are split amongst themselves, but they have the majority in the which house is it? The House of Representatives, is it? Anyway, in this house, and they have to elect a speaker, which is what we do in Britain as well. And because the Republicans are in charge, one would assume that they would just get, whoever they want would get in, because they'd all vote for it and all that. But they're split themselves. So it took 15 votes to get this guy in. But in that time, no laws could happen, nothing could change, no federal government, nothing. It just halted everything. And you're like, this is why you don't want two elected things, because this is like the House of Lords, and it's just a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Thank God we don't have the same thing as America. US appeal court blocks Trump's administration ban on rapid-fire bump stocks. And you're like, what? Trump did something decent? New Orleans. A Trump administration ban on bump stocks, devices that enable a shooter to rapidly fire multiple rounds from a semi-automatic weapon after initial trigger pull, was struck down on Friday by federal appeals in the court in New Orleans. The ban was instituted after a sniper using bump stock equipped weapons massacred dozens of people in Las Vegas in 2017. Gun rights activists challenged it and won. And you're like, America, seriously, sort your gun laws out. Las Vegas strip club deploys a 4.5-ton robotic bouncer for Tech Weekend. This bouncer really does have arms of steel. A Las Vegas strip club has deployed a massive robotic bouncer to welcome tech leaders from across the world attending a weekend conference. Mech the Bot Johnson, a 15-foot tall and 8,800 pound human-controlled robot suit, is working with Sapphire Las Vegas security detail during a 4-day consumer electronics show that kicked off on Thursday. Ed 209, anybody? Robocop? Ed 209? Drop your weapons. You have 10 seconds to comply. I'll put the weapon down, I'll put the weapon down. You have 7 seconds to comply. I'll put the weapon down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I nearly killed Vladimir Putin then. Never mind. Russia is weighing a second round of its massively unpopular military mobilisation, Ukrainian intelligence claims, as both sides gear up for a bloody spring. Ukraine's deputy military intelligence chief claimed on Friday that Moscow was considering calling up an additional 500,000 troops ahead of the planned offence operations. That they've already put their whole army in there and basically been massacred. They've then chucked in 300,000 people who they thought were the best of the civilians, and sadly they've got massacred. And now he's going to 500,000 extra people. He was sending his nan in next. And then finally, or is it? For what's meanwhile in America, a cow got caught on a video in Dubai, Indian shopping mall. A Dubai, sorry, Indian shopping mall. Shoppers in India had a cow when one wanderer in what? Shoppers in India had a cow. That must have been something in America. Had a shock when one cow wandered into a shopping mall. The bovine was caught on video in the Indian state of Assam strutting through the aisles of the men's section of a clothing store. In the clip, which has gone viral, customers and employees can be seen moving out of its way. The cow was seen strutting through the aisles of the men's section in a clothing store in Shamar Nish. The brazen cash cow must have run out of money and left without purchasing anything. I had to kill Bob Morton because he made a mistake. It's now time to erase that mistake. Very good. So yeah, that was meanwhile in America and in India. And why not? Why not indeed? Which brings us to meanwhile in India. Because yes, things are weird in India as well. Who'd have thought it? This is a whole new section which we've introduced. It may not be every week, but we're certainly going to do it for this week. We are going to be looking at the news that goes on in India. Because we can. It was looking for a mukini. Oh, Angela. Oh, Angela. So meanwhile in India, I've shrunk that down, thank God already, because I've already seen it. There we go. So we need to do what I did before, which is just bear with us a minute while I sort this out. Move to bottom, and then it's going to be easier if I just move to bottom. No, it's not that, it's that. That's it. Move to bottom. Just bear with me while I just sort this out. I'll have to do this next week because I'll have already done it, obviously. There you go. That was easier to do that time, wasn't it? Didn't mess up as much. Meanwhile in India, yes. So we're now on Indian news because we can. A woman's decomposing body has been found partially buried behind a former BJP's MLA's house in Satara even, and just left there. No further information, that was it. As Delhi air quality worsens, governments take call on banning petrol and diesel vehicles, certain petrol and diesel vehicles. According to an official, the Transport Department will review whether a ban on BS3 petrol and BS4 diesel four-wheelers in Delhi needs to be imposed or not. So they're basically going to do what they need to do, because these are the countries now that are pumping out the greenhouse gases, and we need to stop them from doing it. Delhi's Ashram flyover to be shut from January the 1st. Traffic to be impacted, say the police. No poo Sherlock. You're shutting down a major flyover in Delhi and then saying it may impact other roads in the area. Traffic movement is likely to be impacted as authorities have decided to shut the Ashram flyover for 45 days for essential repairs. I mean, yes, that's an understatement. Photo of 4 squat toilets with no door on UP's Bastille goes viral. A probe is ordered. I mean, I could say more, but I'll leave it there. A toilet with no doors, and they've ordered a probe. Insert your own joke. Will strengthen world stability, security. Putin on India's presidencies in SCO and G20. Putin said the two countries carried out large-scale trade and economic projects in addition to energy, military technology and other areas of cooperation, and coordinated efforts in addressing important matters of regional global agendas. So that is saying basically that Russia and India are getting closer economically and in other ways as well. And you're like, that is not a good thing, because India needs to be kind of on the side of freedom and everything. But anyway, who knows? Stunt for a bet. Man who sniffed cocaine from Pablo Escobar's grave, jailed for 50 years. The accused and 4 fellow cocaine conspirators have been sentenced to a total of more than 52 years in prison at Swansea Crown Court in the United Kingdom. And this has been reported in India. So is someone sniffing cocaine from the grave of Pablo Escobar, which isn't in England or India, have been sentenced for a total of 52 years in Wales. And it's been reported in India. Now, what? Stock photo. Man with bullet injuries found dead in car. Well, no poo Sherlock. A body of a man with bullet injuries was found in a car in Nettigore village on Sunday. Police said a purported suicide note was also found at the spot. But yeah, I mean, that's normally what happens. Fog alert. Delhi airport issues advisory as thick smog leads to poor visibility. Delhi airport on Monday issued a passenger advisory as thick smog in the national capital affected flight operations. Many flights were cancelled. People were told to check before they left. Now, whilst America is going through some of the worst weather it's had for a long while, i.e. the cyclone bomb that it had recently, plus the other cyclone bombs, and then the weird warm weather that's currently there, what does India do? It imagines what it would be like, what Delhi would look like if it snowed. And you're like, what? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And more importantly, why is it news? But yeah, in India, this is news. The Magical Post shows us snow-clad pictures of the nation's capital Delhi and the ex-capital Kolkata. The pictures exude a fairy tale-like aura and will instantly transport you into a wonderland that you probably have visited in your imagination. Who's ever imagined, even if you live in Delhi with snow? But news it is. It's news. Another thing I've never heard of. 5.8 magnitude earthquake jolts parts of Pakistan. The earthquake's effects were also felt in Peshawar, Lower D, Chitral, Khyber district, Waziristan, Tank, Bajo, Mardan, Parshana, Muri, Mashera, Abatad, Multan, Shinakapura, Shinaut and Kolti. Who knew? Imagine the deaths if it did snow, yeah. Of shock, I think it'd be. Punjab does not even have a single drop of water to share. Punjab Chief Minister on Thursday said that the state doesn't have enough water to share with other states, i.e. we're keeping it and you ain't having any of it. So up yours, screw you, and all that. But yeah. Hang on, my thing's switched off. Bear with me. China in talks with Pfizer to order vaccines ahead of reopening borders as COVID cases surge. China is in talks with Pfizer to secure a license that will permit domestic drug makers to manufacture and distribute generic COVID drug as cases surge. Meanwhile, young people in China are deliberately infecting themselves with COVID. They're having COVID parties, which is something I said Britain should maybe do at some point a while ago, when we got the light variant of Omicron. Yeah. Tourists disappointed as fog disrupts Taj Mahal's night view in Agra. Also disrupted the day's view as well. Due to dense fog in Agra every night, tourists who wanted to see the Taj Mahal at night had to return back to the hotels disappointed. And then Russian hackers targeted US... Whoops, where's that gone? Russian hackers targeted US nuclear scientists. Russian hacking team targeted 3 nuclear research laboratories in the United States this past summer. I can imagine it's more than that, I'll be honest with you. And that ends the Meanwhile, in India, and you're like, oh, that was exciting. And it was very exciting indeed. What do we think of Meanwhile in India while I have a swig of water because my lips are going dry because it's that warm in here? Maybe a regular thing, may not be a regular thing, nobody knows. As is, meanwhile in Australia. Australia. We love Australia. It's a really good country, and I can do the accent really well. Not. Meanwhile in Australia is a thing. Who knew? Who knew it was a thing? Got to find the right thing though for it. There we go. Now I love this story. Whoops. Wrong one. That one. It was out with the old and in with the nudes for these New Year's Eve vandals. The hunt is now on in Byron Bay for these butt-naked blokes. And you're like, what? 9 News Australia reported this. And this is stunning. Ta-da! I love this story. Right, I need to move this back though, don't I? Hang on, let's move to the bottom. We'll move to the bottom. See what I did there? Move to the bottom. Move to the bottom. There we go. They were more than mooners. They were completely naked. They basically, what's going on here? Oh no, it's still there. It's all right. Why has that done that though? I don't know why that's done that. Let's get them up again. There we go. They twerked on the steps whilst being filmed by their mate, all stark naked, and then they jumped in the pool. This is someone's house, private house, that was up for sale, so there was no one living in there at the time, and they came in and they did all that, and the owner of the house said, I wouldn't have minded if they'd have just done that. This is my Australian accent again. I wouldn't have minded if they'd just done that, but they also damaged some property, and including statues, and they urinated and shit in the pool and all that kind of thing. But I just think that's brilliant. I love it. I love it. I just love it. I love Australians. They're brilliant. I mean, would I dare do it myself? If everyone else did, 100%, I'd be in there, 100%. Right, what's going on here? I need to cancel that and then go on that one. There we go. Right, we're off now. Okay, click on OK. Right, sanity is equivalent of HMV. No, hang on. Move to bottom. Move to bottom. Right. Yeah, sanity is the equivalent of HMV in Australia. Well, more Virgin Media than anything else in Australia, and they've got many stores, but they've decided now to shut down all their physical stores. So iconic Australian music and entertainment retailer Sanity has announced the impending closure of all their stores around the country. All 50 physical locations will shut down by the end of April as the company seeks to capitalise on e-commerce and its online store. Right, I've got to get these sizings right. That's alright. That's alright. We can live with that one. Melbourne researchers are using artificial intelligence to analyse the audio waves of people who've had too much to drink in the hope it's an early indicator of when to slow down. So you talk on your phone and into an app and it will tell you that you've drunk too much. I don't know what you're talking about, Ossifer. It might come as no surprise to Australians or anywhere else, but 2022 was wetter than normal, but the Bureau of Meteorology has revealed last year's temperatures were also warmer than average. So very similar to what we've had in the UK. Certainly, although we had droughts, I think all the reservoirs and everything should be filling up by now. Eight youths have been arrested after they drove an allegedly stolen car through Adelaide overnight. 8 boys drive allegedly stolen car through Adelaide overnight. How can 8 people get in there unless they're all 9 or something? But shocking, disgraceful behaviour. Police operation underway on the Hornsby Shire area when officers are dismantling an alleged cannabis cultivation. Investigations are continuing, and anyone with information is urged to contact the police. So you're like, right, okay. And how do they get rid of it? They burn it. So I can imagine there's a very lot of happy people in the immediate area, because we've all seen that clip of that news guy. Oh no, they've lost their sanity. Very good, Smiley. Very good. We like that one a lot. 2 men were dramatically apprehended by police at Hungry Jack's drive-thru in Darwin after one of them allegedly assaulted locals with a crossbow. And yeah, I mean, there are people in the diner. It looks like a Burger King. The actual logo looks like the Burger King logo, very similar, but it's an actual burger rather than just a circle. I suppose it's not Burger King. But yeah, the armed police surround the car that's going through the drive-thru of this fast food joint, and people get a lot more than they were expecting. Mind you, you get a lot less in Australia if you go to McDonald's, because McDonald's are to remove Diet Coke from its menu. It's a bad day to be on a Diet Coke drinker. McDonald's Australia have announced that Diet Coke will be permanently removed from its menu from the 11th of January. The company said the move is in response to customers' changing taste and preferences. So Diet Coke will be permanently removed. I mean, you think it'd be the other way around, wouldn't you? But then you think, oh, it's Australia. So yeah, kind of makes sense that's what they're wanting to change. So Diet Coke gone. A teenage boy using the barbecue at his grandmother's house was airlifted to hospital after a gas cylinder exploded. Now, it wasn't a hospital. It wasn't a grandmother's house. It was a field in on the outskirts of Manchester, UK, and he wasn't airlifted. He was taken by spider and griff, and it wasn't an exploding gas cylinder, but that's what they said. It was actually a bomb. So yeah. Well, they keep regular Coke. Yeah, they keep regular Coke and all the other drinks. It's just Diet Coke that's going, which makes no sense. Oh no, that's Coronation Street I was talking about, sorry. I thought it would just be a huntsman, but I looked down and there was this great big thing on the ground, flat. Children playing in a hallway encounter a dangerous spider. It's one of the most deadly spiders in the world, and it's in the hallway of a house, and these 2 young kids were playing with it. Well, they're playing next to it, but it got squashed. It's fine. This makes news in Australia. A car has been found up in flames after a Molotov cocktail was thrown at it. It was thrown at an Adelaide home just before dawn. The BMW was found in flames after a Molotov cocktail thrown at Adelaide home. This makes news because, I mean, Australia is huge, and this makes news. It's a car that's caught fire. You imagine that was England. Christ. We'd have to have news 24 hours a day. Oh yeah, hang on a minute, we do, don't we? And finally, crikey, beachgoers in Bali got a giant surprise when a 3-metre crocodile washed up on shore. A group of people wrangled the beast and hauled it out of the water at Padma Beach in Laguna, carrying up the sand and away from the crowds. Yeah, last thing I'd do if I saw a crocodile on a beach would be tackle it, even if I was an Australian. And that was what an Australian world that was. No, that was meanwhile in Australia. And the last thing we'll come up with is this. Rishi Sunak denies being detached from reality over problems facing hospitals, as just last week his private clinic ran out of olive tanapade. Gotta love it. So yeah, that was what a week that was. Slightly new format, new uniform, and new layout, new everything, and we've incorporated new countries. We may well be incorporating other countries and swap them around randomly as the year goes on. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed that. We need to find our hero of the week, and I'm trying to think who the hero of the week could be. No one's really popping out at me. Maybe the bus driver who saved all his passengers on his bus that caught fire in hell. So we'll put him down as our hero of the week. And I can find a pen. Hero of the week. Bus driver hail. Villain of the week. Well, there's only one, isn't there? There's only one villain of the week, by any stretch of the imagination. Not that I'm a royalist or anything, but yeah, it's got to be Harry. Absolute villain of the. Sorry, wrong Harry. I do apologise. There we go. Still funny though, second time round. But yeah, Harry is the villain of the week. So right, Prince Harry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start clipping these shows, and then putting them in a file, and then at the end of the year I'm going to do what a year that was, of clips from actually me doing it. I did try doing a what a year that was last year, but it was just too much hard work and it just didn't work. So unfortunately I've not done one for last year, but I'm doing one for this year, so there you go. So, there you go. So a massive shout out to everyone who's joined in the chat tonight. It is greatly appreciated. Just over 2 hours, so we got more in less time, which is unusual, isn't it? Oh, no. So give a shout out to various people. Angela O'Kane, Reese, the Pilco Podcast, Smiley Mac, Happy New Year to everyone as well. Sean J, although we disagree massively on that influencer that we were talking about, and also politics as well by the look of things. Is that it? Sean J, Angela, JT as well, Kim Brad, and that's it. Love to Silence, she's in a box on the landing. She likes being in a box tonight. I must admit this is a lot of work for the lack of views I get, but it's been nice this week. It feels like we haven't had one since last year. Very good, Smiley Mac. It's been a whole year. Well, no, it's the first one this year, and I couldn't be bothered doing it before now. So I finally got around to it though. 7 days in. But yeah, it's fun. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Happy New Year to you too, JT, and to Rachel as well. Hope you're good. Highest views was 13 we had at some point. That was highest views. Lowest views we had was none when I set off. Lowest it's been was 3 when I was first getting going, and we're currently on 9. So we've had 104 views, and the average person has stayed on for 9 minutes 13. So there you go then. Thank you very much for watching and being part of it. Don't forget you can join in the chat. That's the most you've had this year. It is. It's the most successful what a week that was I've had this year. Definitely. 100%. Not even joking. It is the best one I've had this year. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed doing it. I do enjoy doing these, to be fair. I won't do them otherwise. I'm sure I don't do it for the money. I don't do it for the money. Why have I still got his picture up? Oh God. Go away. Go away. Let's put up the late great Ken Block instead. We won't be available Tuesday as I'm going to Nottingham for a funeral. Okay, no worries. Sorry to hear about that, Angela. Bring the bus back. No, we'll have him up. Why is he in front of that? That doesn't make sense. Right, properties. No. Order. Bring to top, and then we go there for that one, and then we order that. This redesign as well, and having different pages for different countries, is really up to the workload. But hopefully now I've done it, I won't need to work as much on it in the future. Move to top. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, if indeed you still are, and all being well, I will see you again bye Elder, thank you for making Kim blue. Yeah, you're okay. No worries. Did we get any tonight? No, he'll be out clubbing. He's a youngster, he'll be out clubbing. Probably seals, because that's what they do in Eccleston. They still club seals on a regular basis. I'm joking. I'm joking. They tickle them. Anyway, hey Reese, welcome. It's finishing. We're at the end of the show. Hello Reese. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all again at some point in the future. Why is this not doing? Oh, that's because it's gone to. Why's it gone to the top? Oh, there it is. We're at the bottom again. Yeah, for some reason that went to the top then. So that went horribly wrong. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, if indeed you still are, and I will see you all again next time. Don't forget to like, share, and watch. Was he? Any. We didn't say anything if he was. Just going through and seeing. Oh yeah, there he was. Oh yeah, move to Saturdays. Yeah, there you go. I'll let him off. then. Okay then. So thank you very much for watching. Indeed you still are. I will see you all again next week for what a week that was. And obviously you can join me on Tuesday for the drive to my mother's, and I may be doing some live gaming as well. And plus I've got many other videos to edit and put up. So there's a lot going on the channel. So don't forget to keep the notification button checked so you know when I'm live, you know when I've uploaded stuff. And look after yourselves. Happy New Year again, and I will see you next week, and we'll see what a week that was. Until then.